Becky, it's time for us to introduce another beautiful member of the family. If he will turn, there he is. It's Gary Malkin time. Hello, Gary.
There he is, Gary. Gary, so beautiful to see you. Gary has been at the heart of so much of the beauty of our convergences over the last couple of years. He created with Sarah McCrum this incredible series of things that he calls transformances that many of our room stewards and presenters, and John and I as well, have woven into different aspects of our convergence in our Zoom rooms. And they're so beautiful, Gary. You are just such a gift to beauty. You're such a gift to my heart, to my world, and to each of us here. And so if anybody doesn't know Gary, you're in for a treat. Whatever Gary's about to do, give, say. Blessings, Gary. Thank you for being here.
Oh, God. What a wonderful thing to be introduced by Becky. Oh, my God. Thank you, honey. So let's just all take a breath for a minute, because what I want to share is possibly the longest meditation I've ever shared on a Peace Week. Or for that matter, I don't think I've ever shared a track this long, based on the false belief that we all can't hold our attention in an online space, which is erroneous, and certainly with this crowd. And then what I learned from the 7 Days of Peace that I did with Teresa Collins is that when we all combine our energies as if we're surrounding a fire in the middle of nature, and there's crickets going, and you hear the wind, and you feel the loons in the background, and we're all around the fire, something happens. And I just want, as we listen to this track together, I want us to all shapeshift into a natural environment with a fire. And the piece of music and spoken word you're about to hear is the fire. It is the fire. So let's surround our hands, vibrationally with each other in a circle. And I'd like to play a track that was recorded. It's my favorite thing to do, is to set wisdom keepers to music. And James Odea, the gorgeous being, he used to be president of the Institute of Noetic Sciences, he walked in the studio and he spoke this. And literally, I remember when he recorded it, he wrote it the night before he came into my studio, intending to record it. He had never written it before, it just came out of him. And then I said, James, this has to be set to music. So Noetic Sciences came up with a grant, and because it costs money to set these things to music. And I set this to music. And I think, and Scott, you heard this at the workshop, I think this piece has reached its time.
It's beautiful.
Where it must be heard. It must be heard, right? And I think it was ahead of its time. So let's all wrap our hands around this fire that you're about to hear, if we would. And I'll see you on the other side, okay? It's 9 minutes. I hope I'll have time to play a little of the Miranda track after that, but if not, I trust that whatever happens, I trust that what all happens is supposed to be what is happening. So here we go. Let's just take a breath together. Let's expand our capacity to listen, not only with our ears and our mind, but with our body and our hearts and our souls. Let's multidimensionally listen in a way that we've never listened before. Here we go.
You were born for such a time as this. I ask you to look at your world. In fact, I beseech you not to live in denial. Be courageous and face this moment in time consciously and with all the discernment and clarity within your power. With intellect, with heart, with spiritual intelligence, decipher the hour, the moment in evolutionary time that calls you to be a witness. Indeed, you are called, whether you are young or old. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here now, in this defining epoch of Earth's story and of the human story itself. You were born for such a time as this. I know that you must feel challenged, because we are all challenged. The air we breathe is challenged. The oceans are challenged. The great forests, the birds, the fish, the frogs, the butterflies, and thousands of species of Earth's great masterpiece of life are challenged in every way. Heroic efforts are being made everywhere to raise the alarm and bear witness to ecological destruction, disease, poverty, genocide, violent conflict, and hostile aggression. The scale of humanity's challenges can seem overwhelming. As I ask you not to live in denial, I also ask you not to become disillusioned, to throw your hands up in despair, or to become numbed. For we know that this is the time for an awakened consciousness, for alertness, for a heightened focus and clarity about the nature of our challenges. An awakened consciousness is fundamentally different than one which is distracted, anxiety-ridden, or preoccupied with blame. An awakened consciousness is radically open to transformation at all levels, from you, the individual, to the collective. You were born for such a time as this. If you have the courage to face the threat and peril Earth and all life now faces, then I believe you must also have the courage to face that in the midst of dissolution, of systemic breakdown, and the collapse of unsustainable behaviors and worldviews, there is something stirring that offers hope, that offers the possibility of personal, social, and even global transformation. This stirring within consciousness itself heralds a clear understanding that once we see the damage being done to the whole, we can no longer aggressively pursue the limited self-interest of the parts. When the parts are at war with each other, then the whole suffers. This is true in the health of an individual, as it is in a family, as it is so for a society, and as we now see for the earth in its entirety. More than anything, transformation requires courage. The courage to face the truth that your own being has great depth. Yes, that within you consciousness can flow from separate little islands of thought and conditioned response to a seemingly oceanic sense of receptivity, connectivity, and coherence. You live at a time when mystical and metaphysical sciences, based on thousands of years of experiential work, are in dialogue with contemporary secular scientific modalities. If you were looking for confirmation of depth, interconnectedness, expanded human capacities, the evidence is there. If you were looking for the evidence of the transformative power of love and forgiveness, gratefulness and altruism, the evidence is there. If you were looking at the role consciousness plays in physical, emotional, psychological, and social healing, the evidence is there. You were born for such a time as this. In honoring uniqueness and diversity in the context of interdependence, we have begun to glimpse as never before a world that works for all. It takes courage to speak on behalf of the whole, to be a voice for the earth and for its diverse species, for all human life, for a consciousness that knows that peace is our inheritance and that our responsibility is to reveal our interdependence. It takes courage to dialogue and illuminate new possibilities for humankind. It takes courage to reach towards a vision that transforms enemies into allies and disillusionment into hope. But you were born for such a time as this.
I'd like to just let there be silence for a few moments and let that courage and that presence find root in your heart right now, even stronger than it was. Hear the crackling of the fire that we all created together in our listening. Scott, thank you so much for letting me share a track that was created 15 years ago, but finally feels like it's having its way with us now. Thank you for
It's timeless wisdom, and now is the time for exactly that message. And you have such a brilliant sensitivity, Gary. That's what makes you an amazing composer and artist, is your attunement. That word that they gave us, Connie and Andrew, that attunement that you have to the collective.